I've clicked onto the Global Tropical RE for December the 31st, 2023. As is always the case in these videos, the thought expander are mine alone, and when making decisions to have any tropical cyclones, look to our local weather office, local emergency management, and local tropical cyclone warning center. So we're going to be talking about Invest 95S today across the Mozambique channel. Just to orient yourself a little bit, this is where the system is about centered. Here's the coastline of Mozambique, and this is the coastline of Madagascar. And this system over the coming days will be tracking generally towards the east, and we're looking towards Madagascar for impacts that could include strong winds and especially heavy rainfall as the system does come through. Now, aloft, this system does have a pretty good environment going for it. This is a water vapor loop, and you can see that we have an expansive upper level ridge placed over the system, and this is resulting in a fairly low shear environment. And you can see that the system is getting pretty well developed already. This is a close-up infrared loop, and we have what appears to be a pretty well developed low-level structure with easterly winds on the southern side, translating to westerlies on the northern side. And an ASCAP pass that we got not too long ago confirms that the center is likely very close to being or already closed. And this is pretty close to being a tropical cyclone already. A bit faster than models such as the GFS had depicted, with yesterday's runs not really having it become a tropical cyclone at all. Now, the system is not in a perfect environment. The system will have some struggles to deal with as it comes east. One of those issues is its displacement to the upper level ridge. While the ridge does allow a pretty low shear environment, consider where it is right now, and if we outline the flow of this upper ridge, you can see that it's on the southern periphery of this ridge. So if the ridge is centered about here, there might be some westerly winds or northwesterly winds coming upon the storm, and that might cause some wind shear into the system. Alongside that, there could be from the shear some dry air from Africa coming in and getting entrained into the system. Now, that will become less of an issue as it comes east, but the issue as it comes east may be when it gets towards Madagascar, potentially some continental dry air from Madagascar getting entrained into the system, as that is a common issue that tropical cyclones going towards Madagascar do face. So it certainly has some obstacles going for it, and it doesn't look like we're going to see too significant of strengthening. However, we could see some gradual intensification as the system does come towards the coastline of Madagascar. Now we're going to look at a couple things right now. First off, looking at the models and comparing how they've done with the system so far. This is the vorticity plot. This is basically showing the vorticity or spin in the atmosphere. And you can see this is observed, and you can see we have a pretty strong bubble. Or sorry, I drew the arrow there wrong. But you can see a pretty strong bubble of vorticity. That's very good for tropical cyclones. You want that vorticity to be bundled up in a compact center of circulation. You don't want to be spread out like we say this trough over here by the equator. Now, the GFS, like I said, did not develop the system really at all yesterday, and it really has been playing catch up to the European model over the past day. You can see this is the current run, and we have the system getting more in line with the current vorticity. But if I go to yesterday and a couple days ago, it did not really catch this at all. And in yesterday's run, up until really last night, it did not develop the system at all before it came into Madagascar. So we are seeing a correcting from the GFS, but now the good news is the European has been pretty consistent on this. And you can see it's been much better at catching the vorticity that we have right now as the system has come off of Mozambique. So what this shows is the European has been better handling the system. And the question here would be, well, one question we can ask, what has the European been doing with the system now we know that's been catching the system better than a GFS? Has it been showing significant intensification? And the good news is, no, it has not. This has been showing a fairly weak system coming in. This is the 850 millibar vorticity again for the current run, and you can see the GFS does strengthen it a little bit as it comes in, but this isn't too strong. If I go to the 10-meter winds, you can see this is only about 996 millibars. That would probably just be a tropical storm coming in. And the European is similar. You can see it coming in to Madagascar there at about 996, 997 millibars. Not too strong overall, and it may be a factor of the issues that I mentioned earlier. So while the system appears to be in a good environment and is overperforming a bit from the GFS, we aren't expecting a strong cyclone out of this. Of course, we'll watch it just in case something does try to get stirred up here. But right now, I'd say the more likely scenario here is a weak tropical storm coming in here. Having said that, we could still have significant rainfall here, and the GFS and European, while consistent in the intensity, are not consistent in timing and exactly how fast or slow the storm is. I'm going to go back to the 850 millibar vorticity plot, and we're first going to look at the GFS, and we're going to look at the steering pattern for the system. There are really two main features. We've got a trough here well south of Madagascar, and we've also got this ridge south of Africa. And these two features are a little bit different between the two models. On the GFS, you can see that the system comes into Madagascar and races over the island, and eventually it goes right over there and races southeast. But if we look at the European, the system comes into Madagascar and slowly tracks over there, coming out as we get into the midweek, very slowly still. And this is a bit of a subtlety in the steering pattern, and you can see part of it in the 850 millibar flow. You can see that on the GFS, it appears that if just comparing, this trough southeast of Madagascar is a little bit slower. And this bridge is also not expanding as east as it is on the European, making for this trough having a greater impact on the storm, pulling it southeast quicker, and that might be why the system just races over Madagascar on this run. If you compare that to the European, you can see this trough is a little bit further east, and this bridge is able to come in a little bit further east. If I can get my pen to work. There we go. You can see the ridge is expanding a little bit further east, and there are some diverging flows with height. At the 500 millibar level, we've got a trough here on the European trying to pull the southeast, but we've got that ridge lower down trying to pull it the opposite way. And so you get a net flow that's pretty weak overall, and so the system just crawls over the region. While the GFS has that weaker ridge, and we get the trough able to pick it up and move it very quickly. So that's just some of the subtlety that we have for the system. And of course, this is big for impacts. If this GFS is correct, we could get away with not as much rainfall as if the system were to stall, or not fully stall, but move slowly over the island like on the European. And this is just going to be something that we're going to have to watch over the coming days and see exactly how we go. Now, this is the current forecast cone from Meteo France. You can see they're forecasting a moderate tropical storm. This might be even a little bit too late. It might already be that right now, but you can see moderate tropical storm coming in a few days into Madagascar, and then we see a little bit of a slowdown here on the models. Like they're maybe taking a more European approach, and that would make sense given that the European has been doing more better with the European on the system so far. Now, in terms of watches and warnings, we don't have any watches or warnings for tropical cyclones, but we do have a yellow, I believe yellow vigilance alert for a portion of Madagascar. You can see here, I apologize for that being very low quality, but you can see for these regions in Madagascar, that is for heavy rainfall. And you can see heavy rainfall at times of 60 to 90 millimeters in 24 hours, which could lead to localized flooding and potentially landslides in the region. So stay safe in Madagascar as the system comes through, but we're not going to be done in the Southwest Indian Ocean, as we are looking towards a more active period in the tropics as we go through the new year. You can see this is the velocity potential plot, and what this is showing is rising air or ascent relative to normal across any region in the world, and descent or sinking air relative to normal. The green being ascent, the red being descent. The ascent being greater for tropical cyclones, as it allows anomalous convection to rise up, and that can lead to tropical cyclone formation. And you can see we have this expansive region of rising air over the Southwest Indian Ocean, and this is forecast to be there for at least the next week or two, and this may lead to more chances for tropical cyclone development over the coming weeks. And you can see here on the GFS ensembles, after our system in Madagascar goes through, we have some signals for something here northeast of Madagascar, maybe something there in the Mozambique Channel, and maybe something here in the far eastern part of the basin. So there's the general idea that I'm trying to paint here is that we have potential for tropical cyclone formation shown on the models from these two images here. And you can see that this is the global tropics and hazards outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and you can see they have odds of tropical cyclone formation here across the Indian Ocean, about 20%, or at least greater than 20% in the North Indian Ocean, and particularly in the Southwest Indian Ocean in the areas that I just highlighted there. And also notable, we are seeing in week 3, which is January 10th to January 16th, we have some chance here across Australia as we get into the mid part of January. So it looks like the tropics will be waking up after the quiet period for the holiday season. Everyone had a good holiday season, and this will definitely be my last video of 2023. So Happy New Year, and stay safe in Madagascar as 95S does move through. I'll have future videos on 95S as it does move through, but as I said, stay safe, and that's it for now. Thanks for watching.